Hey everybody, welcome back to Still Can't Cook. I am your host, Kelley Fahey, and I'm super excited about today's show and my guest. You may know him from his Tony Award-winning play, Take Me Out. Also, he's in Only Murders in the Building. He has an upcoming Amazon Prime series called Hotel Costiera. He also gave one of the most moving speeches I've ever heard, and you've probably ever heard. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. 2016 Humanitarian Award from BET. And also one of the first people I ever hired in my entire life at the Soho Grand. My guest today is Jesse Williams. Jesse Williams, welcome to Still Can't Cook.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I also still can't cook.
I don't cook at all. People have a problem with it. No one understands what the actual name of the show is about. And people think it's a cooking show.
Oh,
my older brother's
I guess
like,
I should have saw that coming.
Yeah. But my mom, so the background is my mom used to say that I was cute as a button, but I still can't cook.
Right.
So when coming up with what am I going to call this?
Right. No, it's good.
It's an homage to my mother.
That's good. I like it.
How are you, buddy?
I'm really good. I'm doing great. It's good to be back in New York.
Well, welcome back. One of the first things we talk about on the show is how I know my guest, or
Sure.
how we know one another. So
yeah, we got a good one.
I have my version of our first meeting. Do you remember meeting me for the first time?
It's a swirl. No, I remember like an interview. Mm-hmm. You just being really like a hard ass but funny and like confident.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I remember. Because it was like an audition to work at the Yard, to work at Soho Grand.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever hired a staff. You were the first people I hired.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The hotel always, that was the whole thing. I got to put together a cast.
Yeah, I think I assumed you had done it before.
No, you were my first year, my first hire.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I did a good job.
How'd that work out for you?
I mean, we made the big bucks. So
yeah.
It was fun. I mean, one of the things that was funny, because there were all these things I wasn't allowed to ask. You can't ask an age. I didn't, these
right.
things. Yeah, I was like, you can't ask ethnicity, you can't ask age, you can't ask. I mean, simple little things.
Sure,
like,
yeah, these little protections.
Like, what are you?
Yeah.
Wasn't allowed to say any of that shit, which I ended up not saying anyway. But I remember you specifically, and I tell this story. There are two people in my time at Soho Grand that I kind of just knew were going to be famous. And one was you.
Okay.
On your interview, and you still don't remember I said this to you. We were sitting talking, and you weren't sure. You're like, I think I want to be. And you talking about acting.
Yeah, I was considering acting, but
you didn't know if you wanted to take classes.
Right.
That was like another thing, and this was in the interview. And then I said, you're going to be famous. You're going to be, and you were like, oh, thanks. But I remember telling people, I hired a movie star. This kid's going to be huge.
Huh.
And I did that with Kristen Ritter. It's the only other person.
Really?
She just had this thing, and she was a host.
Uh-huh.
And people didn't like her. It was with the other team members were somehow jealous, and she was really sweet.
She wasn't in my class. This is a different thing.
This was before you.
She's super talented.
I was a manager, and she was the host, and she called me. I lived across the street, and she called me. No one would watch the podium for her to go on an audition. And I was like, let me come right over. You have to go.
Oh, wow.
And that was when she got the Julia Roberts movie.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, you got to go. You're going to get this.
Look
she
at
came
that.
back. She was like, I got it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Shit.
I missed my calling.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, I kind of have a story like that. I was working in the Yard, and I had my first audition for like a real movie, a studio movie, Warner Brothers movie. And it was actually a few blocks away, but I had to work. And this was early on in the Yard. It was still super chaotic. You can't ask somebody to cover for you. You can't do any of that. And I asked you, like, can I sneak out for this audition? And you were like, yeah, absolutely, just go. Just don't worry about it, just go. And you just went off to make it work. And I ran over to this, I ran down Broadway, ran down West Broadway, across Canal. I was not that far down. And I went and I had this audition. The executives had flown in, Deborah Martin Chase had flown in from LA. And I had this audition. It went really well. And I booked the fucking movie.
What was it?
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 7.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That was one of my big deals with the nieces and nephews.
And I booked it. But I still wasn't going to work for like a month and a half or something, so I kept working at the Yard. We shot it in Connecticut, and I came right back to work, and worked for the rest of the year. The movie takes a year to come out. And
you did the premiere at Tribeca.
Did the premiere. You guys did a screening.
Yeah.
We did a screening at Tribeca. Then we had like the big premiere at the Ziegfeld. It was a big splash, but I didn't get paid any money, so I came right back to work, and I was still working.
Well, the funny thing about you, working with you, is that I hired you as a busboy first, a runner.
I brought out drinks because I've got a fucking horrible story about that.
But you were first. I was not. You were a runner first, and then you wanted to. Yeah, you were running. You brought the drinks over. Yeah. And then you wanted to be a server.
Yeah. I want to make some money.
Did you want to be the bar back before the server? No, the runner, then the server.
Yeah.
But you were always like, I want to talk to you for a second. I think I could do. You knew you were done. You would get to the point of being good at what you were doing, and then be like, I could be better
What's
at something
next?
else.
Yeah. And how do I walk away with more cash?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you ended up a host or the maitre d' at some point.
I think that was after coming back from
right, because your schedule
a
was so
project
wacky.
or something. Yeah. Because I was working for you and at Morimoto.
Right.
And training for that, and I was working both jobs, back and forth. And right there, you had to take like a written test and a fucking oral test, verbal test, to master all the sushi know it all by heart.
Did I know that you worked at More?
I don't think so.
Oh, look at
I was
cheating
just
on me.
moonlighting. I was just going back.
Lord.
I needed fucking money.
Thank God I didn't know. You're fired.
And I did all that, passed all the tests. It was super hard. I knew every piece of fish, every cut, and then I booked Sisterhood. So it was like simultaneously. I did like part with that. I just quit. But this was my home.
You chose us.
For sure.
Thank you.
But I remember on the yard, and for the yard, we're saying it's outside of the backyard of Soho Grand.
My demotion.
And it was like all pavers. It was all pavement.
It was a cycle. We made that shit work.
Relevant. We're dressed as like fucking, like we're in the Navy or something, all white.
I got to get that picture. I know we have the opening picture where we're standing there. Remember the one on the steps?
Yes, but I haven't seen that since then.
The uniform, so it was American Apparel, which is now closed.
Right.
It was some striped.
No, we were all white.
It was.
You switched it to when they classed it up, like they changed the uniform. We were all white.
It was solid white.
Like white short sleeve button down with white pants.
That's right. We looked like doctors. I forgot. Right. Wow.
And
I led you into.
But my first time coming out, I was running. Yeah, because I had to have a tray of and the lead waitress, like of our class, there was one girl who was totally polite, a little kind of snobby. She had done it before. I don't remember her name. Brunette. She was totally cool, but she was very experienced, and she was having to drag our asses around. These rookies are kind of like bumbling and stumbling.
We had to create everything. I had to create the numbers of the plates, the seats. We had to do everything.
So it was totally new for me. I'd never done it, especially with this like pressure level, with like movie stars coming in and stuff. Yeah. But anyway, she had the table was a table of women, and who had ordered Cokes. And so I brought out, we all these original bottles of Coke. And we have all these tall boy glasses, plastic glasses, so they don't break if they fall on the pavement. So I'm bringing out a tray of all these light plastic bottles, light in weight plastic bottles, and all these Cokes. And I bring them out to these women, and they're low fucking tables.
They were low tables.
So I've got to and I'm like doing the Coke, and I spill these open bottles of Coke all over these ladies. It's like a slow day. It's quiet. Like, there's no cover at all. It's fucking 4 women and this asshole spilling Coca-Cola all over their laps. And it was mortifying. I don't know if you were there. It was me and this waitress who already was annoyed that she had to train us. And I spilled it all over them and, cleaned it up. And I'm sure I was apologetic. And, cleaned it up and went back. And I remember she was like, all right, you should, take 5. You guys no, I'm doing it again. I'm going to do it again. I gotta fucking get this right. I went and got it right and walked back out to them and they were terrified, no, not again. And I did it and I got the balance right and did it right and got past it. I wasn't gonna let that hang over. I remember I'm not gonna let that fucking loom over me. Just fix it. Correct the mistake. But shout out to them for their patience.
They're telling people right now, oh my God, I thought that was him. There's some girls at home right now that's going to be
it was him. It's like that meme of Leo watching the king.
I remember I would have people come in, and specifically I would have female friends and gay friends, and everybody wanted to be in your section when you were serving. It was it was absurd. I'm like, okay, leave the kid alone. Give me a break.
Really? I don't know. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, that's the truth. And then I hired your 2 brothers at some point.
I asked you if you could hire my brother and then my other brother. It's a whole family affair.
Did I meet your parents?
Yeah, my mom came I had my 30th birthday there, which was dope, an amazing night. But also, one of them, she might have also been at the film premiere at Tribeca. But yeah, that was the centerpiece for my, those first couple years of acting. And I think I went away again for some job and then came back and started working at Tribeca for the first time.
You would always text or call me hey, Cal.
Yeah,
I'm on really bad.
Broke again.
Yeah.
Still haven't quite taken off.
Yeah, in between.
Yeah, I was doing an off-Broadway play, pay $0, a guest star here. I booked, you remember that show Heroes, which was the biggest fucking show in the world at the time. I was still living here. They flew me out there to do a test for that show. I booked it. I booked the biggest show on TV. I'm going to
That's it.
Something's gonna happen. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be on the biggest show, and I board a flight, JFK, JetBlue, to go fly out to LA to shoot like 5 episodes of Heroes or something. And I'm getting on the flight, and my manager, literally handing my boarding pass, paper boarding pass, over at JFK, and I get a call from my manager. Say, get off the plane, don't get on the plane. Writer strike. They shut down the production.
Shit.
And they shut down like my storyline specifically, not mine, but there's like regions, whatever, the town that my storyline was in.
I never saw Heroes.
And so I never did it. I like, just like that, it was gone. I mean, this is a story for a million people. But yeah, so that was, so I probably called you right after that.
You probably did.
Yeah, I'm on the taxi back home, I'm ready to work.
You did, like, you went upstairs, we stayed outside, you went upstairs.
I went upstairs, I hosted, I came to Tribeca, I waited tables. I worked in the kitchen at Soho, like room service. I didn't bring food up to the rooms, but I maybe expedite. I think I expedited or something in the kitchen.
Did I just
for room
stick you
service.
everywhere, right? I was still the boss.
And then, you were there my whole time. Other people, JD, other people came in and out of stuff. Yeah. But then you got my brother, you got Matt a job. One of them worked in catering. One of them worked in room service.
Matt was room service, I think, and Corey was, or the op.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Stefan, your best friend.
I think I got Stefan, one of my very best friends in the world, got a job there hosting, and
I did the whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you owe me like 10%.
I think that's very fair. It's a very fair argument to make. We'll put our people together.
I don't have any people.
Yeah.
You are my people. You've heard that. If there's a lawyer in the house. Yeah, so that's bringing us on to our next segment of the show.
Okay.
Now, I want to, one of the things that happened while you were working there, I think, and is where everyone is like everyone has the big crush on your character from Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if you were Mick anything. Were you a Mick Steamy or?
No, I refused that opportunity.
What would you have been if you were Mick?
I don't know, but they asked me if I'm down to do that, and I was like, please no. You already have that. Those guys are great. They have that. I didn't want to I'm already coming onto a huge show late. Like, it's not really my show.
Yeah.
I just want to do. I wanted to, do my thing there, but not become, for lack of a better term, kind of Costanza, where I'm only identifiable with that show, and everything attached to me is tied to something that I don't have control over or whatever.
Well,
I know I want to leave.
You've definitely done a lot.
I'm not always sure, but that's a concern as an actor. You just want to you're so grateful, incredibly grateful for the opportunity, but you also see a future for yourself.
The crazy thing for me with the show, if you remember, I had known Ellen because we worked together at Naked Lunch. She was a server, but I could watch it because I didn't know her very well. I could watch it and live with it. I have a lot of friends who are actors, as you know.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite shows.
It's a weird thing to watch people you know well.
Well, you killed it for me. I was like, I can't. I mean, I watched the first couple episodes you were on. I'm like, that's it. What if he dies? What if something bad happens? I can't. I couldn't. I didn't know that the character was gonna end up owning the fucking hospital.
Yeah, neither did I. I was supposed to do 2 episodes on that show.
That's nuts.
I was supposed to do 2 episodes on that show.
So what happened? You just came on and people loved you, right?
I don't know what it was. I'm sure Shonda had a master plan or a hope. I got that gig because well, 2 things. I went and I met with her on a different show, a pilot she had, kind of a really cool, it was kind of a pre-scandal, complicated DC politics, judges, and kind of Grisham-esque, backstabbing. I auditioned for that. But she had a vision for me after Sisterhood came out, she saw that I would make sense as the son of... She was, she's plotting, but I didn't know any of that. Yeah. So I got the episode as a guest star, co-star. I never knew the difference, but 2 episode deal. $10 an episode, 2 episodes.
Right.
And then the next episode, they invited me to the table read. And then the next episode, he invited me to the table read. And
I mean, this was really, you were new.
Every week I didn't know.
Deal. That's huge.
It was it's a big deal. Grey's Anatomy is the biggest fucking.
Huge.
And I was aware of it because it's a monster show, but also because it always had dope music. It would be on, I'd be like, what are you watching? And it's just some incredible new artist,
It's good soundtrack.
Yeah, and I just kept, it was, I joked that it was like an accounting error. They just kept including me in the next episode, and I didn't know. I mean, I came on episode 5 or 6 of season 6, and there's 24 episodes or something, so every week was I don't know. This could be the last one. This could be the last one. This could, temporary trailer. Everything is temporary. I don't have my name on anything.
Well, a lot of the new, what would happen is these kids, you came in as part
with
of
a
the
class
new,
of like 4 people.
So some of them left the show. And
you're there. You're there. Everything feels like an audition to try out to impress them, try to be the top. But how are you going to do that? You just got to do the best with the material that you have. So I got really lucky.
So my producer has watched 21 seasons, I guess it is, and did not want you on prior to her finishing because she's like, if he gives anything away, she was like freaking out.
Amazing.
She was freaking out. So you then, I did miss a lot of it. It's a fantastic show, but I didn't know where it was going, and it was you, and I was like, you killed my, I do remember I told you came back to Soho Grand and was sitting in front of the Grand Bar, and I was like, you fucking wrecked my show.
I do
I love your character, but I can't watch it anymore. But then you ended up, I guess, there's 2 things that you did. You end up you start become you're not a regular anymore. You come back every now and then and just pop back in.
I direct like once a year.
Oh.
Actually, an episode I directed just aired a couple days ago, I think.
When did you hear first?
I direct once a year, and it's old family. Debbie Allen runs that show now, and that's my family, a great friend and mentor. So whenever she calls, I answer. And I mean, I haven't appeared on it in a couple years, but if they call and say, will you appear once to tie something up or something, I'll consider it for sure.
And you apparently, which I have to bring up, Crash a Wedding I'm supposed to bring up, you fell in love.
That was a big storyline when I was on the show.
J-Pro? What is it, J-Pro?
I think it's a hard A, yeah.
J-Pro?
Yeah.
Is that, what does the J-Pro mean? I don't even know.
They combine names, Kelley, Jesse, Kessie, they just it's I believe in the business it's called a ship.
Oh.
Like a relationship.
I get. Okay, so were you part of the J-Pro, or you break up the J-Pro?
No. I'm the J in the J-Pro. Matt Jackson and April.
Because I'm like, your name was April.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We were kind of like a big deal.
So she gets married and you interrupt her wedding.
She tries to. Yeah.
I love that. Did you destroy the wedding?
Yep.
Did you end up together?
Yep. Technically, they're still together
First of all,
on the show.
This is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
We were great.
We were a hell of a couple.
I have to go, and I'm going to watch now.
Yeah.
You got me interested.
You could watch their highlight. I mean, that couple's like the most viewed couple on the show. Like it's
like Luke and Laura?
I don't know what that means, but
really,
probably.
From General Hospital, Luke and Laura?
Okay, I know General Hospital.
Think of Laura.
You know what? Actually, General Hospital is the only show that shoots on the same set, not set, but the same stages as Grey's.
In my brain, I knew that. I don't know that at all, but I just
I've never seen a single person from that show ever.
Well, when I was growing up, there was General Hospital, and on General Hospital there was a love affair, very heavy love affair between Luke and Laura, and the song "Think of Laura" is from Luke and Laura, and one of them tragically dies. I don't know because it's a soap opera.
And then comes back, and it's their twin brother.
She sleeps with his brother, something like that. Yeah. So I don't know you and J-Pro.
Well, you're apparently missing out.
I'm in.
These kids
I'm all about this
love
life.
them. Yeah.
I'm coming back. I'm going to go back to Grey's Anatomy.
That was a good era. That was a good era for sure.
Yeah. And so you did that, but while you were doing it, you did other stuff. That's when you...
While doing that show, in my day, that show was like 10 months a year. You couldn't really do other things. I tried and did some things that didn't work, try to squeeze in some indie movie that didn't quite work. But once I retired from there, I hit the ground running. And
what year was that?
It was right before I did Broadway. I don't know. I left there and did
Which we're going to talk about.
Which was the first attempt at Broadway was January 2020, and COVID shut us down. So I think I probably left in 2019 or 2018.
So you already did the Humanitarian Award.
Yeah, that was my second to last year. The BET's Humanitarian Award was...
Anyone who has not seen this, you need to go watch his speech. If you have not seen, it was one of... Another funny story with us is that I'm at home. I had another friend that was a presenter on the show.
Oh.
You remember? I'm going to remind you.
Oh, well, yes.
So I had a friend that was a presenter on the show.
That's right.
And Jesse gives this... I mean, to say moving speech, it was... I still can't talk about it or I get teary-eyed. But to know you as long as I've known you... To have friends of color that I have, to know what was going on in the world and still going on in the world with, I've been a Black American and fuck what's going on, right?
Yeah.
To sit back on my couch on Grant Street and my bar back on stage giving the speech that you gave and ending with, even though we're magic doesn't mean we're not real. It gets me. So I'm like screaming in my house. I grab the phone. I'm like, oh my God, Jesse. And I get, it's a moving speech. And I text you. And I go, oh my God, I'm losing my shit. This was incredible. I'm so fucking proud of you. I'm crying, And like 5 minutes passes and you go, I just met Dave Chappelle. Like, dude, do you even know what you just did? You were like, hey, I just went over to Dave. I told him I was your... I'm like, you are literally viral. You didn't even... I don't even know if you knew
I did
what it
not
was
go
like
on the internet for 2 weeks.
It was... But I crack
My phone,
up.
like, literally like 111
You did
messages.
respond to me, though, which was very
Well, I
sweet.
responded to you, yeah.
I got the
I took my
response.
parents out to dinner. We walked somewhere to dinner and sat there, and
Crazy.
my phone was just a stick of dynamite. And then I
was the
sent
funniest
them
thing, though, it's
home
such a-
and went, and like Dave came up to me, and me and Dave had kicked it in a kitchen behind the back of a restaurant like forever.
But
and
that
then
had
went out
been
and partied.
so from us. It was one of the things that a dear friend of mine for a long time. But it was also a big deal for you. And I'm like, you have no idea that you've just changed. Like your life is just.
Yeah, it was kind of.
You're like, hey, Kelley, just talked to Dave. It's like, dude, wait till you get home.
Yeah.
Wait till you see what's happening. And I literally took the copy of the text and I sent it to David. And he was like, oh man, that's huge. I'm like, I know. He doesn't even realize what he just did.
Yeah.
That speech is just.
Yeah, it took some time to realize.
It was cute though. You chewing gum. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was great. Your parents in the audience. Anyway, so you did a lot.
Yeah.
Look, I'm crying. See, this is either crying or menopause, but no, it's you never know. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Real talk. Do you ever find yourself oversharing to someone who really isn't qualified to help? Well, last week I found myself sharing my existential crisis with Oliver, my dog. And you know what he did? He stared at me, he blinked twice, and then he fell asleep. No emotional support. It was actually quite rude. That's when you need someone who can actually help, like a licensed therapist. No weird waiting rooms, no awkward small talk, just professional help when you actually need it, wherever you are. So if you're someone who has a weird schedule or travels a lot or just prefers to live your life in sweatpants, it's even better. BetterHelp has access to over 30,000 licensed therapists, and you can change your therapist at any time. So you don't get stuck with someone who, I don't know, stares at you, licks their foot, and then falls asleep. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/cook today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/cook. Now let's get back to the show. Why do you think we remained friends, though? That's a good question. Why do you think we did remain friends?
Because we're real fucking people. I think undefined by like what our title happens to be at the time. I think real, I don't know who originated the adage, real, recognized real. I think we're just like, we got along as people. It wasn't, the work arrangements always were additional to our jokes, our sense of humor, our like observations, you know, like at work we like saw the same shit and like understood what was going on and don't take ourselves too seriously, but also because we build on the foundation of like doing good work, being solid, being reliable, being a person of your word in a world that's not always to be taken for granted, you know? I think
we definitely had there was a media. Like, it was funny because I know I was the boss, of course, but there was the thing about you and I had it with a few people at work. But you definitely we met at a point where we wanted to do the right thing. We knew when it was ridiculous, like the pavers thing. One of the things that we didn't talk about, which is a very funny story because we do talk about this every now and then, is so we were outside, so we had to stay open, and I was a boss, but a new boss. And I had never hired a team before, and this was kind of a freestanding space that I was in control of.
Yeah,
but I had
invented this new space in a very established hotel. You know, for viewers or listeners, like this hotel's fine. It doesn't need some new invention or some new attempt at something. And Kelley's got this like renegade fucking summer vibe, using the back little corner of something, creating like an outdoor.
That's crazy.
Vibe in a place. It all could just easily go away.
I remember on the first opening night, or the first night, everything just went so well. I couldn't believe it. We were like seamless. And then someone asked for like a straw, I think. And I was like, I fucking forgot. Like something simple. I forgot a coaster. Like I had, because it was myself and a friend of mine at the time, and they did. Tony was like, this is what we want. This is the vision. Here's your budget. And we were like I was on Canal Street, like talking to people about sinks. It was crazy. It was built. But anyway, that being said, we got stuck dealing with whether it was 150 degrees and we were like sweating through our clothes, or it was 60 degrees and it was raining, and we weren't allowed to leave. And we would stand outside.
Like, are we staying? Are we not staying? I'm fucking making like 7 gallons of sangria.
Oh my God.
We're fucking like, more Oyster Bay, more melons, like fucking making things. But like, are we even going to be open or not?
Downpour. And then we had water would come behind the bar.
That first time was nuts.
I see all the electricity. I'm like, this can't possibly be safe. And everybody went out. I like had a major, I might have sent you. I sent somebody to go buy sweatshirts because the uniform was the uniform.
So I remember that.
American Apparel. I
that.
took money
Yeah.
out of the register. I was like, go to American Apparel because the kids are freezing. We were all freezing to death.
Yeah.
And I gave it to
fucking
them.
like electric wires.
Yeah, there were wires
pouring down.
And I called the boss at the time, who was my boss. At this point, like 5 years later, I would have been like, we're closing by. Good. I was new and I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. So I was afraid to kind of take initiative. And you guys suffered for that. But I called her and I said, we were standing, so there were these cement pillars, and we were standing on the cement pillars, and the water was rising underneath us, and we're just like standing in the rain with the hoodies on.
I'll swim to the customer.
Yeah. I mean, if someone comes in, we better serve them.
Right.
And I called and I said, it's literally a hurricane down here, and she said, it's sunny in Chelsea.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I hung up the phone. I'm like, she just told me it's sunny in Chelsea. And I think it did actually.
It did clear up. It did clear up. Well, I will say though, it never felt, to us, you were the boss.
Thank Jesus.
It didn't feel like, you were the boss, and what are we doing? What are we doing? We're doing that. We're doing that. All right, we're doing what you say. Some other suit might wander down, and you might talk to them on a side and kind of shift gears a little bit, but it didn't feel like we were being like the inmates running the asylum. It felt like it was like, we're fucking a badass little like offshoot to the record label. Like we're the indie side of the record label. Yeah. We're doing something cool, for sure.
It was super fun. What a fun time.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I have no idea what years that was. My life. I started there in 1997, so I don't remember. It was somewhere 2000.
Like 2006.
2006.
It was give or take probably 2006.
And then you left. You left finally for Gray's.
I moved to LA in 2009, and I booked Gray's like a month later.
Okay.
2 months later. So the 2009 would have been the spring of 2009. I shot Cabin in the Woods. So I probably last worked there in 2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so did you become, and this is probably a strange question to ask, but I'm sure you hear it. Did this whole heartthrob thing that happened from Gray's, how did that happen? Like, how did that hit you? When did you know that people were like, I mean, you look like you, so clearly, unless you're stupid, you look in the mirror and go, I'm good.
Yeah.
God's been nice.
The society serves, they like the things that I happen to, I never take any credit. That's got nothing to do with me. The way I look, it's not like I worked hard in the gym or I did this. This is how I look, and you like these features, and it's and so that's not anything that truly I've dealt with that and being kind of patted on the head and totally not seen as more of a curiosity than anything. I had dreads and long hair most of my different variations a lot of my life. I lived in a hood in Chicago with no white people at all until I was in junior high school, and it was all white people, and I became a nigger immediately, and I had so I've had a kind of wild experience as a biracial person, but always kind of like, what are you? What are you?
I mean, I just got to say, put it out there. Your brothers are extremely. It's three very handsome.
Those guys are very handsome.
So, yeah. Sorry, I was going to put that out there.
Yeah, there's being exotified is one thing, but the point, my looks being like the most important thing, the first thing to talk about, which there's far worse problems for sure. It's nothing to complain about. But it is something, everybody, no matter whatever people see you at first, you want to you're something else. I'm also interested in other things. I'm also intelligent. I also have other interests. So my point is only that I was used to pushing through that, like not sitting on that, not resting on that. I modeled briefly, and I hated that shit.
Right.
No disrespect to anybody who does do it, but for me, I just felt like I'm cheating. I felt like I was smiting God.
You're so much more,
I got things to do.
Yeah.
I have things to do that I want to do.
Yeah.
Not that that's not doing something, but for me, I had other desires. I had other creative impulses. Yeah, that wasn't my walk in life.
It is true though. You're awkwardly handsome. I love you.
It
is funny.
I think I look weird.
You think you look weird?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But those things. Yeah, no, you reminded me of superlatives in high school. I'd certainly rather be thought of as interesting or smart or funny than
just handsome.
Yeah, it's just not. It's a meaningless term.
But you've clearly, the thing that I think is interesting about you, there's a lot of things interesting, but you're so much more than it, and the world knows it. Now you walk in the door, physically beautiful, and then you just have such a great mind and a great soul. And
yeah,
you're just
and trying to keep it working.
But yeah, no, it's just, I imagine there must have been some crazy.
Yeah,
moments.
it was a lot of attention very fast.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't start acting until I was almost 30 and was out here kind of toiling away and trying to just book work and doing industrials and doing totally random fucking stock photography and like anything for a couple bucks. But then when it hit on a show that was a very big show. So it's
And
a lot
did you
of
have
exposure.
crazy fan crate? Like, what was the craziest thing? Because girls go nuts, right?
I have crazy fans that show up, find out where I live at every place I've lived, and write hand-drawn letters and leave them on my porch.
Seriously?
Oh, for sure. It's a concern. I mean, when I did the speech, those years I was on the news a lot and speaking truth to power and protesting and demonstrating and I was in Ferguson and Florida and these things. So I got a lot of like handwritten letters that were going to kill me and my nigger children and like
Seriously?
yeah, like it was a lot of like death threats. I had to have like armed security for a while after that speech because there were so many very specific threats on me, and they were climbing the fence at my house and threatening my family
Jesus,
by name.
Jesse.
Like it was fucked up. I had to cancel appearances of mine. I couldn't announce anywhere that I was because
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, these people are
I know.
nuts,
Well,
you know,
they're
and
running the fucking country. So.
yeah, and so it's like a lot of this comes with like a lot of missed opportunities and stress and other things, but we're talking about like career changes and job changes. An activist, an educator, and like a social justice person has always been who I am. It's it's just how I was raised, and it's what I've always done. So that though it has like it can be tumultuous, it's the only like, consistent thing in my life, and it is truly who I am. So the acting stuff these stuffs are just like icing on the cake. It's never the cake. For me, I could change careers tomorrow. I don't care.
Right.
Like I'll find other ways to be creative and make art or be a fucking civil rights attorney or whatever.
Right. Most importantly, it's activism.
It's got to be fun and stimulating.
Well, it's really important to have you. I mean, we need more people with the right perspective these days. It's
both
crazy
like
time.
really rewarding and thankless. You know, it's a real
and
comes in
scary
waves.
as a father. I mean, I was going to
You
talk
gotta
about
be
your family.
careful.
We're jumping
You gotta
into
be
that.
careful. Yeah. I mean, it's a weird thing in general to be. I think all parents, a lot of parents experience the oddity of raising your children in a totally different kind of universe than you were raised, because we only know what we know, right? You only know your mom's voice or your dad's voice and how they disciplined you and how you said, I'll never do that, but then you find yourself sounding exactly like her or him, or, you know, we grew up on fucking welfare, and like, but now I make some money, and so my kids aren't going to learn to appreciate the value of the dollar the same way I do in working, and
are
you
you
try
keeping
to...
that? Are you, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but are you, I was going to ask this, so like, based on your childhood, are you keeping them a little more chill, like being like not letting them know that they...
Oh yeah, my kids you understand, like, you know, to the best they can. Like they live in comforts, they experience comforts that I never knew. I say, you know, we have a pool, and I'm saying to my kids,
Above ground pool.
right. It's really just like an inflatable thing, which we'd had when Sadie was a baby. But I never saw a residential pool, until I was like maybe 13, 14 years old.
When did you leave Chicago?
My parents divorced and we moved. We had no family in Chicago. My parents were there for...
Transplant?
They moved there and got married there and raised us there. But then when they got divorced, we moved east.
Okay.
That's Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you ended up in Brooklyn. You were living in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah. I mean, I went to college in Philadelphia at Temple, and my first summer I stayed with one of my best friends in the world at his house in East Flatbush, and I just loved New York. And that's when we had the Chinatown bus. Remember, like $12 bus, you jump back and forth to East Broadway from
You always feel New York to me. You feel
New York was...
Not to take away from Chicago.
No, but New York, Chicago was I was a child. New York immediately became something I gravitated to. You know, just, I don't know why. Because culturally it just made sense. I think, you know, obviously music is a huge part of a young college student's life, and I was deeply embedded in like reggae, cultural roots music, social justice, hip hop. I had a lot of good friends here around my age that I could just crash with and just like learn the city. I deliberately avoided New York for college. I visited New York and I was like, I can't go to college here because I'll just drop out. Like it's almost like meeting a woman or a man that like, oh my God.
Not yet.
I'm not ready for that because that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot like that. I knew I recognized New York right away was my place, and I'm not going to go to fucking class.
Right.
That's what I'm not going to do. So I went nearby and just took the bus up all the time. I was in New York 3 times a week my whole college career.
Yeah, it was funny because and before I interviewed, in my head, you were always in New York.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, no, he wasn't. I had to Google.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of people assume I'm from here.
Yeah, I just always thought you were New York.
And
because even your brothers feel like it's just the whole family.
Yeah, and then my brothers came and
so New York.
Yeah, which was really dope because my brothers are 4 and 8 years younger than me, so we weren't as close as I wish we were by age. You know, like when I'm in high school, they're in middle school. When I leave, he's in high school, and I'm in a different state, and I always really kind of hurt to not be there for my brothers physically in the same, like to be the typical older brother where I can actually watch out for you. But we became super close as adults.
I just know you've made up for it.
Yeah, they're incredible. I was with
definitely.
both of them yesterday.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah.
And totally separate. They're doing, one's married, babies.
They're both incredible individuals. Yeah, they're like their own life. But we, there's a synergy there. I'm super grateful to have a family. That's what I was saying is that like, I don't have a huge family on my dad's side. I've got a very big family on my mom's, but they're all kind of geographically in one spot. So New York, I kind of made my own very quickly, kind of this amalgamation of people in my life. How
do you feel do you bring your kids here often?
Yeah, when I was on Broadway, they came every other weekend.
What talk about Broadway?
They loved it. And they had an amazing time. Like my best friends in the world are here. My longest running friendships are here. Mm-hmm. My brothers are here. My niece and nephew are here. Like, this is a big part of it. My kid's mom, we met here. This was a part of all these friendships I have here. So it's they know that it's kind of like this place that I used to live, and we ride the train. They love it. They love New York. They asked to come back. They want it. We almost came back.
So he has a boy and a girl. It's girl first,
daughter
son
and a son. Yeah.
Is it different? Do you find yourself? Do you see any? You kind of touched on it that you kind of parent and you hear yourself doing the things your parents did.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have one thing? One of the things that I talk about in one of my podcasts, and I talk about my parents a lot.
Yeah.
But I didn't have, unfortunately, but by choice, I didn't have any children to kind of pass on some specifics to them. Do you find yourself like purposely bringing things that your parents brought you into your children?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
The things you probably used to hate them for.
And I'm for a variety of reasons. I was talking to a friend about this the other day. I'm so insanely grateful. I had, and they're still alive and still amazing. But I grew up with really amazing parents that were very different from each other, a very stark contrast from each other. But it gave me access to kind of the best of both worlds in terms of like academic rigor, discipline, like responsibility and accountability as a black person in this world, a vision, a lens through which to see the world, but like artistic, comedy, lightness, creativity, make, what is life without art? But most importantly for both of them was like, are you smart? Like, can you write and articulate yourself? Because the way you write is the way you think. And like, that's how you have to be able to express yourself to be able to get anything done, to be able to talk to your partner, to be able to get a larger project done. You have to have, the words are there. Why the fuck not have them? They're free. Like, get educated, learn how to use your muscle. You don't have to go to you go to the gym to get bigger or stronger, whatever. There's material, especially now in this age, which we didn't have. We had fucking encyclopedias you got to lug around. But I've had amazing parents, and I also am wildly grateful that I still have my parents. Not many people even still have both their parents,
I don't have either.
I'm just I really pinch myself often. I can call my parents. It's something I really, really don't take for granted. It's an incredible
gift. So, of course, you clearly don't live in a way that takes things for granted.
No, but I do directly impart wisdom from both of them, and sometimes it's direct, like it's actually bars from my dad, or like patience and presence and like the silence that a parent gave me, like letting that happen, both figuratively and literally. I let my kids fall, and I don't help them up, unless of course they need to. But like, are you hurt or are you injured? Okay, like let's figure that out. Like I don't swoop and scoop up my children and baby them. That doesn't help them have the tools for the world. So I find myself, particularly around academics and sports, which are two things that my dad, when I was a child, was super hardcore about. Everything is a teaching opportunity. Everything is a moment to, if you don't, something my dad would say, if you don't know the meaning of that word, like,
look it up.
He would like bait me by saying words he knows I don't know the answer to. I know what they mean, and if I don't ask him what they mean, like, I'm in trouble. You don't know what that fucking word means. Why you don't pretend to know something you don't know? Find out. Ask me what it means. Like, that's a free opportunity for you. Now you've added a weapon, a weapon into your arsenal, a tool in your toolbox. So I just copy and paste lessons from my parents, but I also kind of try to glean the best version of, but also check myself. My point with the hard ass dad is that I try not to be such a hard ass dad that I drive them away. The point is,
balance is important.
Yeah, you ask.
It's such a hard time with social media and you being a celebrity.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing. It's a very weird thing. My kids are they're not at social media age, or not for me.
What age is that? Like
40 11.
And,
I mean, some kids have phones and they have social media. No, that's not happening in my house. I'm gonna hold off as long as I can.
Yeah.
But it is we can't relate to that. You can teach anybody something that you've had experience with. I have no idea what it's like to live in the internet.
No, nuts.
What mattered when we were kids, like what was happening in fashion or culture, was your school. Was the bus on the way to school. Like, oh, people are wearing those. Oh, we're doing our hair like this. Like it's the 20 to 500 people that you see in your geographic area. That's it. That was the planet. Then I didn't have cable, but some kids had cable later on, and you had MTV. So you'd see, oh, that's how people are dressing in California. Oh, that's how they're speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that might add, but it's not. I often, when having my kids watch stuff, like I trip out on, like, we didn't have access to, when a show came on, you had to get home by 8 o'clock and watch the show. If you have to pee, you got to wait till the commercial, run and pee, and come back. It's on. Like, run, jump back over the couch.
You're screaming through the house.
And that's it. You'll never see it again.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years later, there'll be a rerun.
Yeah.
Like, point being, just like the being present mattered. Like, really be present. Like, the amount of kids, my, friends, peers, whatever, like, don't make eye contact, don't know how to say please and thank you, leave their shit around, like, aren't fully realized beings that don't need to be served all the time and given a shot of dopamine all the time. Like, you should never be bored. My kids, I've never been bored in my life. There's so many things to do. And I remember my son once being like, I'm bored. It's like, that's unacceptable. You have 20 things you could be doing. He's obsessed with soccer. You should be practicing.
My father would tell me, look out the window.
Yeah.
If I was born,
that was real shit.
Look out the window.
Look out the window. Yeah, watch the raindrops come down the sky.
How many
Think about
trees
something.
am I going to look out? Look out the window.
Yeah.
Okay, you're bored? Look out the window.
Yo, a road trip. We didn't have video games. We didn't have iPads.
Nothing.
Like, you're going to sit here and listening to this Beatles tape on auto reverse or whatever it was.
Do you remember running home for, like, the drop of a video for Friday Night Videos? Like, when Michael Jackson had a new video coming out?
I remember. I didn't have cable. We never had.
So it was like
we didn't have that at home. But I'd go to my friends. You'd go after school, go to our friend's house, and I go and watch, and there's like Janet Jackson or like November Rain video came out or some shit.
We would run. My brother had Peggy Sue's back in the day, so my cousin Sean and I would like get home right in time, and it would just be starting.
Yeah.
But you had to be in front of it. There was nothing.
Yeah,
and then we got those.
And somebody could
machines.
do
What are those
VHS
machines?
where
machines.
you could record.
Yeah, and then
the VHS is one thing that doesn't have record. Then you got to get the VHS that you can record on.
And there's a whole thing.
I mean, I was also, talking to my kids, like, we had 5 movies in the house, 5 VHS tapes, like, 1 store-bought, I think Beverly Hills Cop. The rest were, like, recorded off Fox.
Yeah.
You know, so I remember Beetlejuice or Harry and the Hendersons, like, with the commercials, you know?
You know what we used to do, and I did it, I used to get in trouble. So remember answer machines when they had the real-size tapes?
Oh, sure.
So I would take tapes
That's funny.
of music to put them in my answer machine, and all you had to do was put the little things when you break.
You put scotch tape or tissue in it and tape just to really bolster it.
And I would tape over my like brothers or sisters, like some like.
Yo, making mixtapes for your friend or a girl? Come on.
I got some mixtapes.
Yeah, that's like the real move.
It was good, yeah.
I made a mean mixtape.
Did you
for
really?
shorties back in the day. And you get like I cut out a little picture from a magazine or something, like some kind of random cool thing, make that the cover. Like the liner notes.
I mean,
it's a big, and that's a big
writing
deal.
It. Remember that.
You make little notes inside, and that was it. Like I gave it's one of one. Like
that's it, right?
You know,
exactly.
Like that's the other thing on music and videos. Everything is accessible, and it's an infinite amount. Like we had
crazy.
everything was.
It's got to be crazy because you can't even. The one thing about being a parent now is you actually can't, other than like real ethical situations, you can't really ask your parents what to do. Like, what do you do if they're 3 hours playing Xbox. Like they're like, what's an Xbox?
What is that?
Yeah, what does an
we didn't
Xbox
have
mean?
that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
that.
whole different type of parent. Morally, ethically, socially speaking, you can turn to parents. When it comes
I've
to
read
day-to-day,
some things about the influence that parents have on kids, that hugely impactful, and especially the mother hugely impactful in the first, don't quote me on this, but like the first 7 years, the dad like 7 to 12 or 14. And after that, the parents have like 6% impact on the child. It's the adults of your kid's friends,
outside
coaches, cops, authority figures, teachers, older brothers, older siblings, and now you have a whole nother extended family because the internet is a family. Like, how's that fucking? So we have a limited window to really
make the impact,
forge a foundation for you, especially I think especially for kids of color, especially for girls. Like, I'm really focused on like child psychology and my daughter, and just like making sure she's strong and doesn't need anything, and like not gonna be blown away or impressed by some silly shit from some boy.
So like, hard
have
for
a
little
real,
girls.
a real.
I mean, again, you have a son too. You got to worry about yourself. I mean, it's just a crazy time.
Yeah. I'm trying.
Well, I'm sure you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them since. I've actually not met your son. I've only met your daughter when she was a baby.
We didn't cross paths on the weekend that they came up for the show or anything. That was tough. 8 shows a week was tough.
Yeah, every one of your friends saw you naked. I almost had a fucking heart attack.
I can't believe I did that.
How would I know?
I can't believe it. You came to the show and didn't know?
That you were going to be naked?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I would have been like
that.
this the entire... Actually, I would have had to go like this because...
Sorry about that.
God hasn't only... He's good.
I just saw... I've seen a few shows since I've been here, and I love the theater. And the funny thing is, I lived here as long as I did. I never went to the theater.
I'm upset. I got to show you my play. I mean, I don't know.
You
so
see
there's a playbill.
everything.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
the playbill's
yeah.
over there. We had one over here. I see everything. That's the best part of New York.
Yeah. One of the great things about... People ask me, why the fuck did you do that? How did you do that?
It was a great
One of
play.
the great benefits was being part of the Broadway community, like being part of the theater community.
And
like,
nominated for a Tony. It was Take Me Out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Did you win the Tony?
Yeah, we
won. It won as an ensemble cast, right?
Yeah,
A revival.
We won Best Play, yeah. Revival. Yeah. You know your stuff.
I do. I can't watch any like MTV award. I don't know anybody is.
Right, exactly.
I'm like fucking 200 years old. I'm like, these kids are half naked.
Yeah.
But I can do the
It's an incredible piece of material. It's an incredible play by Richard Greenberg. But when I go back and sit in the theater in the audience after being on stage for a year, almost a year.
You get it in a whole different way, yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate it in a different way. And I know how fucking hard it can be. And I can't believe we did that.
You were great.
It's fucking hard. And no matter how, the other day I was getting out of the shower and I was like, I would have a show right now. Because that's when I was doing it. It's like, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know where it's gonna come from today. No, every day you have to do it. You have to do it.
And sometimes twice a day.
And twice a day, twice a week. You have to fucking do it.
I loved the theater. Yes, very obsessed.
So I have a new
and your play was
reverence
amazing.
for it.
But he was naked, and he should have given me a warning.
Very briefly, they overdo it. It was for fucking 30 seconds. It's
such a long 30 seconds. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I've erased it from my brain, so we're fine. I just don't look it up on the internet because it's all over the place.
Don't, please. Don't.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So what, with the two, because you have the boy and the girl first, boy second, is there a major difference between how you parent your daughter and how you parent your son? Do you find a girl dad?
I do. I parent them slightly differently, or I attune my attention or energy slightly differently. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but yeah, absolutely. Our needs are different. I'm a guy. I have three. I'm one of three boys. That's I didn't have a sister. I have a stepsister, but that didn't happen until I was in high school and already kind of on my way out of the state. I've got kind of a knowledge base, but I've also got a knowledge base that has an awareness of like some things I might want to prepare my daughter to be armed for and against, but most importantly, no. The Venn diagram is mostly an overlap. I coached my daughter's basketball team. I love being a girl dad, and I got really lucky. My kids are fucking amazing. They're amazing. They're so funny and so smart and so curious, which is, by the way, I strongly emphasize one of the most important attribute you can try to foster in a child is curiosity. It's like that's why you should never be bored. You gotta ask questions, gotta wonder about things. And so yeah, I think I am guilty of parenting them slightly differently at times. And now my kids are prepubescent, you know, like things will change, you know, I don't
How old are
know.
they?
11 and 9.5.
Jesus
so like as we get into them changing emotionally, physically, all these things, that's a new world. I haven't been there yet. And you talk to parents like, oh, I love being a parent. I really, really love being a dad. It is my first, second, and third favorite thing in the world. But then you meet parents who've had kids that are or are past their teenage years. Like, yeah, wait for the teenage years. You know, it's
I don't think it ever stops being
the
hard.
warning. No, it never stops being hard. But I think that they change and they view you differently, and they. You know, when you're little, they need you, and they really want to be with you. At some point, they're going to be like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
As we were probably as kids, right? Like, you can't tell me anything. And then you just got to stay. You know, it's like a lot of things in other relationships. Just stay, be solid, let them know they're heard, let them know they're safe. You know, if you say to either of my kids anytime, like, what's my job? They know it's to keep them safe. Like, that's the core of it.
That's really important.
So, I'm sure that there are little differences, and it probably is maybe be a little a little harder on my son about kind of the real cliche things, being tough and stable and strong, but mostly for both of them it's accountability. Be reliable. If you make a commitment, honor it.
Keeping your word is huge.
Keeping your word. If you don't say I promise if you don't mean I promise. Just say something else. Don't lie. It's much harder to maintain lies, and it's also just ethically wrong. And you got to carry that with you. Just tell the truth.
It's not, I don't want to interrupt you, but I was talking about my parents, and I've lost both my parents, but with having two brothers and a sister.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about my parents to them, and I just recently, at 53 years old, had the realization that they were different parents to them.
Yeah, different parents.
Of course, my father said stuff to Patrick he didn't say to me or Philip.
Yeah.
But when I first lost him, I was like, my father would never say, and I'm like, God, no, he would never say that to me.
It's interesting. Yeah.
He did parent us differently.
I've talked about something similar with friends who have that experience, and
you didn't have it because you had three boys.
We had three boys, and our parents were in our lives the whole time, but we did grow up in different places. You know, I grew up in Chicago. And like I was my foundation of relationships and girls and friends and loyalty and honor and violence and fighting and poverty and police and a lot of things. And my parents were together. My dad was in the house. Now, even when my parents got divorced, my dad was in our fucking house. He was always in our life. Right. And that's why divorce wasn't really that, on its face, that big of a deal to me, because my dad was a super dad. He's not going anywhere.
And you saw it one way, huh?
Yeah. But like they had it, that it's kind of deep, but your parents change. Your parents at 40, not your parents at 50. Your parents like before a divorce, and not your parents 5 years into a divorce. And I'm in my 40s. Like it's crazy to think that I'm the age my your parents are always old. Your parents are always kind of like, you think that they're just who they are. They're still changing. They're still figuring it out. They still realize they fucked that up. That wasn't clear.
Realizing that there are a couple. I remember I was 16. I was going to Graceland for my birthday, and my parents were driving. We drove from Brooklyn to Memphis, and my parents had a fight. And my father got out of the car like a dude, like a dude. You don't get out. You can't be not them. What the fuck are you doing walking away? And I remember my mother like, I'm not gonna go pick him up.
He got out of the car and she drove away.
She was like, go ahead, you're gonna get out of the car, you go. And she went and she did it. I mean, we were in like some small town.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking like, oh, they could be two. They don't have to.
This could end.
There are a couple who decided, like when you realize they kissed and dated and fell in love and had argued, they did all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's weird. And I remember it being like, we have to go, you can't get a divorce. My mother's like, we're just having an argument and he can walk. But in my head, it was like,
That's an interesting thing to witness. It's like a wake-up call of what potentially your Ghost of Christmas future. Like this shit could go left.
Listen to me. It was at a very young age, I knew we were going to die.
Yeah.
I knew that they could separate. I knew that I could lose a sibling. I was scared of fucking everything.
I wonder if part of that is, it's got to have been also informed by, you grew up in New York.
And 700 square foot with 6 people, which I
like a densely populated area. Whether your block was diverse or not, you live in a very diverse place, and you're seeing all these different walks of life, and income brackets and family structure constructions and fucking the way drugs, other things that influence our people in our lives, like.
But 16,
exposure is really
15, and that's when I was like, these are two people who are choosing to make this work.
It's a trip to also think about the ways, look, kids absorb. If you've done any therapy or any reading accidentally, you know that like we mimic and absorb conflict resolution skills from our parents. Like this, we understand love through the way people we loved or supposedly loved us behave. Like a lot of people know for sure that love is withholding abuse, you know, like fucking crazy swings of peaks and valleys. Some people have very steady, no contact, not physically affectionate. Some it's like overly affectionate. There's just love is a word that has 290 fucking million meanings. And so a lot of that comes to mind, speaking of like parenting and like, what am I imparting to them? What did I just impart to them without saying a word? How do I treat other adults around them? How do I treat women around my daughter?
Super
like,
important.
Shit like that.
Super important. I remember dating when I not first started, but at some point dating, I remember my mother said, pay attention to how he treats his mom. Pay attention to how he treats his mom. And that stuck. And man, she wasn't wrong. Pay attention to how he treats his mom.
Yeah.
And the dudes that treated their mom right are still my friends.
Yeah.
And the dudes that were
real
disrespectful.
shit. I clock that as well. It's
how they treat their mom. Now I'm at the age like, let's see how they treat your server. How nice are they?
Well, that always matters.
That always matters. I mean, it's one of the other things. But my parents didn't give me that one. That was just a life learned. That was a skill I learned. But I remember her saying, see how he treats his mom and go from there.
Because see how you treat service, right? A server, a clerk, a stewardess.
So we circled back,
whatever.
Right back to Soho Grand.
No, but
serving
but that shit like really is telling on a first date or something. Like just being shitty. Like don't be shitty. That's a real thing. But the mom also is like emblematic of like, what about in the long game? Okay, that's short game. That's maybe you had a bad day. But like over time, how do you maintain and nurture and feed relationships? Do you always need it to be in service of you, or can you just like take a couple slaps? Can you take a beating and still be there? And other people have their own shit. Some moms are terribly abusive and you need to cut them off. But
a cutoff is self-preservation and not day-to-day disrespect.
Yes.
It's respecting yourself and moving away. And I know that people don't see that. You know, you can have your judgment and everyone takes them. But if you get to a space where you are distancing yourself from a parent or a sibling, unless you're a complete asshole, there's a reason, and you're doing the right thing rather than staying and being abused.
And to people involved, you articulate that reason.
Yeah.
You know, I would even qualify that reason if I with my kid, if I had that issue. Thank God I don't. But
it's a crazy time to be. I mean, it's a beautiful time because there's so much at our fingertips and there's so much for them, but in the same time, there's just so much for them.
Yeah, I was just reading something about just educators commanding a classroom now, you know, which was hard enough to do when I did it.
How many years were you a teacher?
A couple of years, yeah, and I also grew up in I've experienced very different kinds of schools. I had a class with 55 kids in my class, you know, because it was overloaded, and one teacher was teaching 2 classes simultaneously. My second grade class was also a third grade class. We're all in the same room, and teachers got to go back and forth. And but also went to a school in high school that had fucking 12 to 17 kids in the class, you know, and so none of those were my doing, or did I earn. It's just the luck of the tax bracket you happen to be in, or the scholarship you got, or you know, these things that kind of like we're talking about looks like. The problem is people get gassed acting like they earned some shit they didn't earn. When you're born on third base, acting like you hit a triple. You know, like
conceit doesn't. It's senseless.
It doesn't serve you.
Right.
And it's just kind of intoxicating. But yeah. The education. I was just saying that like people trying to educate kids now. I was reading something about this educator just struggling to. You're competing. You're trying to find little slices of pockets in a child's attention between the internet. TikTok, like their life is dopamine, constant dopamine hits of the internet and TikTok, and you're trying to get them to take a break. Let me squeeze in some real quick information, and then you're back to like feeling like you're in withdrawals and this kind of apathy and indifference. And it doesn't really matter. Do I even care about my grades? I can't. She was talking about like I can't discipline my kids. I can't threaten them with a suspension. They don't really care.
They don't care anymore.
Their parents just going to curse me out and say I can't do it anyway. Their kids are totally padded from consequence now. You kind of get a participation trophy for everything. You're amazing at everything. No, she's not amazing. I met her. She's not amazing.
And you don't, there's no, you can't fail in anything, right? And you're not allowed to, how I was raised, and I'm sure what is now illegal. My parents, I did something wrong, I got hit. I got hit, and like
by them or a kid in the street or a kid in school, or
and it teaches you something. Like I know as a woman, I don't know. I talked about this before. Growing up in Brooklyn, I grew up in Brooklyn in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was violent.
Yeah.
There was violence. There was
Yeah.
fist fights. You said my sister was a pothead, I beat you up after school.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it
What'd you
happened.
say about my
yeah.
sister?
3
Yeah.
o'clock, you're dead.
Yeah.
Girls were fighting as much as boys, and girls fought boys.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I meet people now, and I know it's wrong, who I'm like, man, if they just got a good punch in the face, they'd be so much better off.
Yeah.
Like, life.
And the words of Mike Tyson, like, everybody's a tough guy till they get punched in the mouth.
I didn't know he said that,
Yeah.
but good for Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Everybody's a tough guy till they get punched in the face. And I think so many people that I've met along the way,
Yes,
I'm like,
there's a long line of people who just
everyone
need
should
a
work
good
in
punch in the
F&B.
mouth.
Everyone should figure out what it's like to serve. You know, you should work in the service.
It's a funny thing. I find myself asking people. I don't know if I'm sure there's a common denominator of when I ask them, but I know why it's kind of a character reference.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't mean that if you're a better person if you have. But have you ever been in this position?
Yeah.
Can you empathize? Well, I guess maybe what I'm asking is, can you empathize with those that surround us?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I grew up fucking very labor, working class, the working man.
Same.
Working people are everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the collective. That was also a big thing when I got into this business and I was so politically outspoken. People were like, why are you doing this? Like, this is not good for your career. Where did this come from? Da da da. So, but you have this. But you can't talk about this because you're not all the way white, or you're not all the way black, or now you have money. You can't talk about being poor. Like, what do I have to do with it? I'm one person in of fucking 9 million people, billion people on the planet. Like, imagine if I only went with what I'm experiencing. Could you? That's literally the
really
textbook
boring.
definition of selfishness, though. Like, I'm not fucking important. Like, we're talking about like a livable wage for women or Latino women compared to white women. Whatever you're talking about, we get blinded to. It gets narrow, and this is the great addiction of hypercapitalism. Is like me. But I have.
How does it affect you? How does it affect you?
Yeah.
You don't have a horse in this race. I mean, I like horses.
Yeah, people, exactly.
Right? You know
exactly. But those people don't have trouble empathizing with like a wounded dog. Well, we often joke when we're in like social justice work that like the way to get win the hearts and minds of white people is just like put a dog in the mix. It's the truth. Like, because y'all care about some dogs.
It's the truth. I think I don't know who. Someone just posted a dog in either one of the wars going on here, or the
yeah.
And they said if PETA would have made a big deal about this,
more
white women would be up in arms.
Oh yeah.
And it was pretty upsetting to me.
Yeah.
Women's
Day just passed.
Every now and then I find myself being that girl. I'm like, stop being that white, Kelley. Bring it back. And care about the kid, not the puppy.
I mean, it's always a good chin check. Y'all are celebrating International Women's Day. Just happened a few weeks ago.
I didn't celebrate it. I got yelled at.
It would be nice if we celebrated International Women's Day for like women internationally.
But we don't.
Yeah. That's the thing, like when your antenna's up and you actually are like a person of the world, a global citizen, it's a lot different than being like tribal and only caring about your tribe, however you label it.
I'm just bringing it back to what you were saying. One of the things I think the point was, have you ever been a server, which is also, can you have any compassion or empathy for someone outside the person sitting right here getting served? That's one of the big things. It's like you have to be so void of ego and care about the other person to be good at it. And then you carry it into everything else. Like, certain things don't affect me at all. And I'm clear on that, which is fucked up. But they affect me.
I'm thinking about, what you just said, and the amount of people who have gone through or going through their entire existence where they are this main character at all times.
All times. I
had a really important little growing moment. I was maybe, 20, 21. No. I was older because I started acting. But I had to come back I was at Tribeca waiting tables. But I had already done the movie. I was already getting recognized while I'm cleaning up your mess on your table. But aren't you the guy from?
Yeah.
And as an actor, you want to be recognized, trying to come up, but not in that situation when you're fucking sweeping up broken glass. Oh, lift your feet, please.
Right.
How'd
you like the movie?
Yeah, well, you want to do that movie? Oh, which they said, didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't
work
out
the implication is like, okay, not quite going well for you. But I remember being really slammed, a lot of tables, but kind of like not doing my best. I think I feeling like I'm better than this in some way, subconsciously. Like I'm mad at myself for like not having my quarter life crisis. Like,
right.
Yeah, why don't I have
How
to
am
get
I
up?
not there
I'm
yet?
fucking back here.
Right.
I'm back here doing this, like hoping to maybe make $200 tonight. you know, and it's fucking expensive living here. And I was just on the carpet doing my own movie. And, you know, these are totally normal thoughts to have. I'm in my 20s, and I dropped the ball on something. I didn't bring somebody something. And there was this older guy with this really hot girl, really hot. And I, you know, so it's even more kind of like, you don't want to be in service next to a really hot girl, you know? And so I fucked some up. I didn't bring him their Brussels sprouts or something. And he called me. I'm like, yo, you know, like, we never got that. And it had been a long time. And he said something else that kind of like inquired about me, not putting me down, but like, what's going on or something. And I kind of like reflexively said something, I don't know. What it felt like in my head was kind of like, I'm not even really supposed to be here because like I'm acting now and I'm doing this thing. That kind of was like the spirit of what my dumb ass was giving off. Right. And he was like, yeah, but you're doing this now. Like, he gave me some like wisdom. Like, he was like, you know, like the equivalent of the Abraham Lincoln quote, like, whatever you are, be a good one. Right. Like, yeah, but you're doing this now.
Right.
Like,
give it all right now, right here. Yeah.
You're doing this. This is your job.
Wow. Who is this guy?
I don't know. It was like this sage older black guy. It was, I wish the girl wasn't present for the wisdom, but, you know, my male ego, but like I needed it, and I carried it with me, and I've carried it ever since, you know, like it was, we all need those kind of just like, yo.
God gives them to you.
Ooh, yeah. Slow down.
I say there's a little tap every now and then. Every now and then. You know, when you get to do the thing you love to do, and people listen, and people are listening, it's, every now and then, I mean, it's just, you know, for me, it's on a very small scale. I get like, but you know, it's like, bring it down, Kelley. Like, you're lucky to be, I'm so lucky to
those little like,
like
chin check, like appreciate, hold on.
What
a fucking life we live.
What, I mean, it's,
you know,
well, I get so, one of the funny things about doing the podcast for me is like, to be able to bring, I mean, my friends are just, I have an incredible group of people with such interesting, different, dynamic opinions, and like, it's so incredible to be able to sit down and have conversation with people who I admire, I love, you know, and I respect, which is just, and then people get to see you in a different way. Is what I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to do a segment called Hot Flashes, where I ask you questions and you have to answer them quickly. Okay. So I'm not going to do it quick because I never do. And everything we do is quick anyway. All right. If you could bring back one character from Grey's Anatomy and not have them die, who would it be? Did you watch the show before you on it?
No, only to study it. But so bring back one character that has died. There's an actor named Robert Baker who came in my class, who died, and he is a really great guy, and I think his character had a lot of potential. So that's like a deep cut.
How did he die? Who was it? What's his
character?
Shot.
He got shot in the right away. In a really amazing finale, season 6, with the shooter in the hospital, which is like a really good piece of television.
I gotta watch this.
McSteamy, Eric Dane.
He dies too? Everybody dies on the show. Do you die?
He had a great run.
You don't die.
You come back. I do not.
Okay. So then we're going to fuck, marry, kill, Grey's Anatomy edition. Okay? Richard Weber, Derek Shepherd, or Alex Karev.
They're men. I'm not fucking any of them.
We got to fuck, marry, kill them. I'm easy.
You said Weber and Karev. Who else?
And Karev and Shepherd.
Well, he got killed.
But you got to fuck, marry, kill.
I'm not fucking any of them. Weber's perfect for the platonic version of marriage, and Karev is terrific for the platonic version of fucking whatever, like, party. You know, he's incredibly fun and funny.
I would kill Weber. I would have sex with Karev, and I would marry Derek.
Karev's amazing. Justin Chambers is...
This is a good question. If you could be on another show of Shonda Rhimes, if you could pick a show aside from this one.
Something she's about to do.
Something
she's
new.
doing some really cool stuff coming up.
She's done a lot of really great stuff.
Yeah, it's like more cable stuff.
Okay. Who haven't you worked with that you would love to work with?
So many people. I think that was another really awesome thing about doing Broadway was it was kind of that first time in my career where I'm doing work that, you know, Grey's is a show that everybody watches but nobody watches. Like the huge part of the world watches, but like my peers, high level artists and actors, doing Broadway was like my first time really interacting with all those actors that I really, really hold in high esteem, standing, waiting, and talking to me afterwards about my work. It was really surreal.
Theater actors.
But shit, I mean, Gene Hackman, who just passed, that would have been nice. Denzel, you know, I think I like guys my age. I think Jake Gyllenhaal's terrific. Daniel Day-Lewis.
If you weren't an actor, what else would you be doing? What would your career have been?
The easy answer is civil rights attorney. The other answer is director. I think that's a natural fit for me and will continue to be.
And you're directing, you've done your own projects, you've produced.
Yeah, I've produced a show. I have my own show coming out on Amazon Prime in September called Costiera, or Hotel Costiera. Costiera is shorthand for the Amalfi Coast. Mm-hmm. It takes place all in Italy. We shot it in Italy for 5 months last year. I'm like a fixer. It's an action comedy, entirely European and North African cast. Partly in Italian, Spanish, and French.
Amazing.
It's really fun. I'm the only American in the cast. I produced it. Adam Bernstein is our director and like directing producer. Adam Bernstein did fucking Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, The Sinner, 30 Rock. It's a brilliant, wonderful guy,
Amazing.
New York guy. Really, really awesome. And
now you're acting in this and producing.
I'm the lead in the show, and I very actively produced it.
Amazing.
It was really, really fun. So we're start doing press for that. You're my first press visit, kind of before. In the summer, we'll start doing press.
Here first.
Yeah. For really, actually, this is my first time really talking about it.
And and what else is happening? Like what new is anything else coming up? Like what are you working on next?
I just had a film called Spider and Jesse premiere at Santa Barbara Film Festival. Mm-hmm. That'll come out in June, streaming. We were just nominated for a Critics' Choice Award for The Great Lillian Hall, this film I did with Jessica Lange and Kathy Bates.
So I went through, really I Googled you because I know what I know about you, one of the things that's a problem with me, well, it's not a problem. I tend not to want to Google my friends because I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It happened with Tasha. Like
when
I finally looked at Tasha, I'm like, Jesus, how do I not know who you are?
Yeah, right.
Like I don't want to, but so with you, I can't, I mean, you've worked with everybody. I can't believe you have a film with Jessica Lange. I mean, you've done.
I'm having some good post-grades. I'm having a lot of really amazing
Oprah
experiences.
Winfrey. I was like, who am I going to ask? Who haven't you worked with?
Yeah, well, when I did Only Murders in the Building, I was working with fucking Meryl Streep and Paul Rudd and everyone. Martin Short and Steve Martin.
I have that written down. I mean,
were incredible. That was so fun.
Who do you get starstruck over now? And I know it's probably activists. I know you probably like.
Yeah, it's more people not in acting, but not necessarily like Martin Short and Steve Martin were such a big part of my household. Mm-hmm. So it was one thing, the way I met them was they came to my play. But I was already signed on to do the show.
Everyone saw you.
They came to my play, and they were very funny about it. They came to my play and then took us out to dinner after. So I had to sit
you
for
and
dinner.
Your penis? Oh,
had to sit for dinner with them for like 3 hours.
That made me fun.
And they're just so fucking funny, wonderful, nice, congenial, like all these things. But people aren't always.
You just sit
people
back and
who
watch.
Are super funny aren't always funny. Aren't always nice.
Yeah.
They were perfect and so goddamn funny all the time. I found myself like the muscles in the back of your head like getting sore from smiling so hard. Like I was just like laughing perpetually with them all the time. So that was really a trip. Meryl, is the biggest of deals.
She touched me at Soho Grand. She put her hand on my shoulder, and I was like, Meryl Streep is touching me. I was like, I said it, like I couldn't help it, but she said, thank you. I sent her a cheese plate. Yeah. And she said, thank you. And I was like, Meryl Streep is touching me. And she's like, she is. Yes, she is.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things are changing in our business and the art form, and the business is constricting and changing. There's so many fucking incredible artists out there that I look forward to the opportunity to work with.
Do you get stuttery around anybody, politician or anybody? Have you been like? Oof.
No, I haven't gotten that. Sometimes you don't always. I speak for myself. Sometimes I don't always know what to talk about with each person. We have different things. I have found in different stages of my life, because of my political outspokenness, I find sometimes people don't quite know what to do, like where to go with me, or that I think people have a perception of me that I'm very serious and that I'm holding them to a standard, that I'm dare I say judgy in some way. I don't know. It's something short of that. I think that which obviously sounds so ridiculous for people who actually know me, but I think a lot of people's introduction to me is my work outside.
They're intimidated by you, so it has to be your fault.
Yeah, or something,
and intimidation is your
not necessarily with a negative outcome, but just that might fuck the flow up, and then when we actually relax it and crack, people are like, oh my god, you're funny and nice and normal and like these things. Usually funny, very funny. And like that, so that
I'm the funny one in this relationship.
You also said you're the funny one in your family, right?
I am the funny one. Well, I mean, I come from a very funny family, but I feel like I might be the funniest. Although they're all at home going, no, I am.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But no, I haven't found myself yet. That'd be cool if I was. But I certainly like fall back. I don't try to overplay my hand around, the greats I need to be listening to.
Who's a fan of yours that you found surprising? Like, has anyone ever been like, God, I watched you, but you're like, what the fuck have you seen?
I think that there's that's the way I met, Sam Jackson introduced himself to me, saying, some very nice things. Denzel, I met Denzel because he directed Grace. And he watched a scene I was doing and came over and introduced himself and complimented. I think he's kind of maybe somewhat surprised at the dramatic work, but we become buddies, and that's the guy, So he's always been very generous with his wisdom and time, and especially once he found out I was doing Broadway, he's an actor, so doing theater is
I saw him in Raisin in the Sun.
A measure for him, Yeah, and everybody that came to the play, is a fucking.
You did the play. You really.
Yeah, we did that shit.
You really. I mean, I don't.
Some things, yeah. So I received that. Thank you, because I know we really.
I was scared.
It was really good.
I was scared. I'm
not saying I'm really good, but it was really good.
The play was great. You were great, but to be completely honest, I can go to a movie. It's edited. I'm going.
There's 900 ways to fail.
Look.
And you can't have an off night.
Can I tell you that on again, off again was like, well, what if it's terrible? I'm like, then we're gonna fucking fake it, and that's gonna be it because my friend, and we're here,
exactly,
and because we all the time, and
at that point, the horses left the fucking barn. Just be nice. Don't be keep it so real that you hurt somebody's fucking feelings for no reason. But that's some real shit. As in film and TV, there is somebody whose job you get whatever takes you need, and there's somebody's job. Somebody's job is only to let the world see every microsecond that you did it right. Mm-hmm. They throw away all the rest.
I know the feeling.
Theater, nobody is doing that for you.
No.
And people have traveled around the world and spent big money, and they can see every fucking flicker and mistake and absentee. And you go up, and going up means forgetting your line. You're out there, and all that shit happens. It's acting with a gun to your head. I say, it's fucking, and you got to do the whole thing.
The whole thing, you can't stop.
Line. Today I have 2 pages.
Yeah.
I got 7 lines today in a movie or a show. I might have 700,
Yeah.
but it changes every day.
Yeah.
You have to do the whole thing perfectly. Right now, go.
And doesn't matter. You get an itch you're not supposed to scratch. You went off step. Someone else forgot their line.
And that's where the camaraderie happens, because we all are constantly saving each other, helping each other, throwing each other a fucking rope.
You go in. I said at one point. You go in every single day, and you're expected to write the same exact script, but now today the fucking A is missing. Get it done exactly right. Tomorrow the T's gone, and that's Broadway.
Watching the room, reading the room, seeing people. Oh, Kelley's missing that. She's actually down 2 fucking cups in a plate. Got that. Got you. Help. Just in a flow. Everything doesn't need a pat on the head or acknowledgement. You're not going to get compensated in some. Just be in harmony and flow with those around you.
And other actors forgetting lines, and you having to work around them. It was great. It really was. It was a great play, and you should come back and do more theater.
I'd like to.
Don't be naked.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Enough naked for us. We don't need to see. The world doesn't need to see this.
Not again.
Check it out.
Really overshadowed my Tony nomination.
No, I mean, it did overshadow the Tony nomination. I apologize. It was a great play. Nothing to do with him being nude. Mm-hmm. It was 2 seconds of a 90-minute play. But anyways, fantastic play. Yeah. Well done. Acting was fantastic. And you are my friend, and I am so glad that you were here.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate you.
Congratulations on this great, real fucking podcast.
Thank you. Great. It was just a crazy, you know what I want to do?
It suits you. I mean, everybody that you must have told, that makes sense. It suits you.
Well, I did the call of, you know what? No, we don't have to talk about it. But I did call a bunch of friends and be like, what do you think? Because this is me investing in me.
Yeah, sure.
And there are people who are going to tell. There's other things I wanted to do, and my friends were like, absolutely not, don't do. But with this, I was like, what do you think? And they were like, it's exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Perfect time, perfect thing.
See, it got it. Makes sense. Totally understand it.
Yeah. It's fun. I fucking love it.
That's great.
Seriously, thank you for coming. I love you, and I can't wait to see what you do next, because it's going to be fantastic.
My pleasure. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Still Can't Cook, and please subscribe, comment, tell them.
Like and subscribe. What do you say? Smash that like button. Is that what the kids say? That's what the kids say, I think.
Are they saying that? Smash that like button.
That's right. Or subscribe. Whichever's more important.
Fire?
Just smash them. I don't think we're getting. Nope. I think let's cut that out.
Okay, cut it.
Please.
Now he's directing me.
Yeah.
Come in and do
Skibbity.
it.
I think that's what the kids are saying these days. Skibbity. My daughter would be fucking mortified.
What is skibbity?
I don't actually really know.
Okay, don't say.
Yeah.
But so you can come in and direct me one of my episodes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Deanna, you fired.
It's a budget, Matt. Okay. We'll talk to your people. Yeah.
Call the union.
Yeah.
Thank you. Subscribe and follow and do all the things you're supposed to do. Thank you very much for tuning in. Come back next week. Hey guys, thank you so much for showing up for another episode of Still Can't Cook. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on YouTube or any other podcast provider. And if you're on Instagram or TikTok, please follow us at Still Can't Cook. Love to have you guys back every week. So happy that you joined us and look forward to seeing you next week.